Hey guys, here's the top 5 things you don't want to miss when you're flipping a house. Top 5, it matters. Let's get it. Hey guys, Wyatt Wallace, investor, flipper, wholesaler as well. And what I love to do, of course, is flip houses. It's so exciting. Been doing it for about 6 years now. And the first thing I always think about when I'm looking over a project is the kind of work that's going to need to go into it. When I'm evaluating deals, it's really important to look at things like structure, roof line, that sort of thing. So we start on the outside all the time and then work our way in. Sometimes if you get inside and you get all confused and you're like, what's important? How did I get here? But if you start on the outside, you can tell. So here's some really important parts to think about. I love brick houses. This one's a great one, a good old brick house. What you want to look for with brick is cracks in the wall. If there are any kind of bricks that are broken or chipping off, that's important. But anything like a line like this, so if you can see in here where there's where the brick is actually broken in half there, and then there's another brick down below it that's done the same thing. Oftentimes that means that something has shifted over time here. So you want to think about maybe it's an issue with water, with drainage. You know, maybe that water is hitting that and it's going right back under the house. So you want to think about that. Maybe it's an issue where at some point there was some movement in the foundation, anything like that. Think about that. Right now this roof line looks really good actually. Next thing to think about is windows. How many windows do you have? How many do you need? What do you want them to look like? That sort of thing. And then you also often have to change out portions of the frame if it's water damaged or if it's just rotten wood, that sort of thing. So you want to think about that too. Right now we're kind of on the other yard here, so we're looking through a fence, but you get what I'm saying. Okay, real important here when I was talking about foundations and wall structure and brick, right? So if you see something like this where it breaks and then follows down the bricks, that normally does say that there's something going on with the foundation, but it's not as bad as a straight crack down all the bricks. Yeah. And again, the situation here, water came down and then is now flowing out appropriately away from the foundation. At some point it may not have been, and it may have been going back into the house again. There you go. So the next part about checking out the foundation is the crawl space. What you're looking for here is it dry? What does it smell like? If it smells real moldy or anything like that, you might want to ask those questions like, is there growth of some kind here that I need to look over? And then if there is, you need to get a professional to check it out. Because oftentimes, you know, you don't know what that growth is or you know, if it's a problem or not, and they can tell you. There are some crawl spaces, even though they call them crawl spaces, where it's actually, you may be able to stand in a crawl space. In fact, a lot of the places here in Middle Tennessee, houses are built on hills. So even though the house is level like this, it goes all the way down on the backside. So you walk into your crawl space here and you can't touch the ceiling. But then up here, you're basically crawling until you get to the porch. Interesting fun fact. Well, that's kind of cool. I think it's a well. Like a pump and everything. Awesome. Third main thing to think of when you are flipping a house is the HVAC system. HVAC, central air, central heating, whole house heating or cooling, whatever you want to call it. It's important to look at the age of these systems. So come on. So these units, what they do is they take air on the inside, a handler, right? And they process that air, filter it out, the whole bit, and fluid is run through this unit here and then back inside the house. This cools off that fluid, and then that fluid is run through some pipes in there in order to reduce the temperature and that sort of thing and control the air, right? And so on this, you want to actually take a look at any kind of a stamp that you can on the side of this, manufacturer's tag, that sort of thing. I'll put it in the comments at the bottom of the video. That way you can see how long this should last and what it could cost you to replace it, because that's a big deal. A new HVAC system could range anywhere from $3,000 up to $25,000. So you really want to know on an average house what that's going to cost you. So keep that in mind. Dollars and cents, y'all. Dollars and cents. Yeah. So the fourth thing that's super important when you're evaluating houses is above you. It's the roof line, right? So in this situation, this roof has already been repaired. That's awesome. But most of the time what you want to look for is, are shingles missing? Are they curling at the ends, right? So oftentimes with a roof that is older, the shingles will come down, and where they're supposed to meet the gutters, they actually start curling at the end or folding down at the end, and you don't want that. That just shows age. They say a roof is good for about 25, 30 years. It depends on your climate as well as to how long that'll last, and a roof can actually cost you quite a bit of money. $6,000 just to put like a new coating basically on a roof that's like 1,000 square feet or something like that. So you got to think about it. Dollars and cents, again, they all add up. So right now, this plumbing has already been replaced with PEX plumbing, which is really popular right now. It's a plastic kind of a tubing that they put into houses as opposed to copper. Now, you'll often find copper in an older house, but older than that, depending upon the part of the country, you may find galvanized piping. And galvanized is, originally it looks more like a silver steel color, and over time what happens is the water flows through and creates what's called electrolysis anyway. It kind of rusts out the center of the tube, and then eventually it tightens up. So over 50 or 60 years, you're kind of getting water through, and there's good pressure, but there's not much volume. So you have to replace that. You may have to replace it actually not just in the house, but all the way to the street, which can cost you several thousands of dollars. So you want to keep that in mind. What kind of plumbing is in the house? What is it going to cost to upgrade it? There you go. There's number 5. So we just covered the top 5 things that you don't want to forget when you're rehabbing a house and evaluating it for whether or not it's a potential deal. I'm going to give you one more. It's a bonus. Think about the neighborhood that you're working with, right? It's okay to go ahead and put a lot of money into a house, but also remember that you have to think about who's going to live there. And we'll talk about that in another video. I'll put a link to that as soon as it's done. But it's important to not overbuild for where you are, because even though you could make a house that's worth $600,000 in a neighborhood that's only $200,000 houses, does that $600,000 person want to live in a neighborhood like that? And so it can change things dramatically. So you want to make that house look just as good as its neighbors to get excellent value. All right, thanks y'all. Bye.